Sonic Frontiers is the only Sonic game in forever that has actually gotten substantial updates and not only improved the game, but adds tons more content. And now, since all of the updates have been released, let's go through them all and see just how good they ended up being. Update 1 gave us a lot more than we were anticipating. Of course, we did get the jukebox and photo mode. Those were clear enough in the teaser image that was shared, and I'd say yes, these are definitely good additions, but they still do have some flaws. No matter what they could have done, the jukebox selection would not be making every Sonic fan happy, and some games got some frankly weird choices on what songs to include. Like seriously, what kind of selection is this for Heroes? Seriously. And they didn't include Sea Bottom Segway from Lost World, but they kept the generic desert music? I am, however, extremely happy they decided Asteroid Coaster's Act 1 remix from Colors Ultimate was included in here. That was one of, if not my favorite song from that game. And for the most part, this selection does get most of the popular Sonic songs in here, but aside from that, there are still issues with the jukebox. For example, why can't I play whatever song I want when I'm fighting a boss? I understand that Sonic Team felt that the songs wouldn't really fit the bosses, but the option to do this would have been very appreciated. I mean, imagine the possibilities! And another thing, this is a small nitpick, but regardless, I'll bring it up. Why is I'm Here the first song on this list? Like, it completely messes up the chronological order because the default music is right above it. And it is wild that they have all the island music and I'm Here in this selection, but not the Titan themes or cyberspace, especially the Titan themes. Like, dude, that would be really fun to listen to while climbing Rhea, for example. Other than that, though, the jukebox does its purpose. It would definitely be nice if it had more songs from the series, but overall, I'd say it's good. On to photo mode, which has a similar issue where it is good, but it has a couple flaws that bring it down. First of all, the controls here are just weird. Like, the buttons feel like they're assigned to do things that feel like they're in the wrong place, or just something is off here. And you can't really get good angles when Sonic is on the ground, since the camera will get stuck to said ground, meaning some shots just won't really work. Not only that, but the filters we get are laughably lame. Like, these are such basic things they could have added, and there's really not much here. But still, other than that, it does work well. I've seen people take some incredible looking shots, especially Unleash, who often uses this mode for thumbnails, and he does a great job. But overall, the jukebox and photo mode were very appreciated bits that they added that gave this game some very good lasting power. But that is not all we got. Battle Rush and Cyberspace Challenge were also added, which I think are amazing, but they aren't without their faults. Let's start with Cyberspace Challenge. This is really just another way to play cyberspace stages, as you play through all the stages on a certain island and then get your overall rank, nothing special. But if you S-rank all the islands and the all island compilation, then you unlock the power boost in cyberspace, and this is awesome! Sonic always felt slow as hell in cyberspace, so this really makes him feel a lot better to control. Overall, a fun mode that I like visiting from time to time, but now we enter Battle Rush. This is a side mode that I play every time I open Frontiers. Having a way to fight the Titans again alone makes this amazing to have right on the main menu, but it lets you fight every boss in the game in their own little arenas with their own S ranks too. It's a ton of fun to beat up everything in this mode and get rewarded with the Titan fights at the end. However, one critique I do have is that this mode is always stuck at one time of the day, which wouldn't be an issue, but Frontiers, in my opinion, looks best at sunrise and sunset. I would have liked the option to play Battle Rush at different times of day, but other than that, I absolutely love this mode. But that's not all. If you S-rank all of Battle Rush, including the final compilation, then you unlock Extreme Mode. It's okay. It's really just the option to replay the game again, but you can't upgrade Sonic, and if you get hit once, you die. The mode itself is fine, but there is one massive flaw with it. See, I play on a save file that has a non-upgraded Sonic, so then I can play Battle Rush with a bit more challenge compared to having a leveled up Sonic. If you go to the Hermit Coco in Extreme Mode, it won't change anything in that file as expected, but when you go back to Battle Rush, that is where your level is affected, meaning if you want to play Battle Rush with a non-upgraded Sonic with all your moves, you have to replay the game all the way to Chaos to get it all back. I'm not sure how many people are affected by this, but my god, it is annoying. But still, Extreme Mode is fun as a challenging extra mode, and it's definitely nice to have. But just looking at this, We got way more than what we were expecting from this update. And while yes, not all of it was perfect and it certainly wasn't without flaw, it was really appreciated and really well put together. And now heading into update 2, we weren't really expecting much. I mean, can you blame us though? Sonic's birthday would probably just be decorations, open zone challenge was maybe some kind of timed thing, and New Coco, the hell does that even mean? No one thought much of this update, but when it came out, holy shit! How about we begin with Sonic's birthday? Like we expected, the islands are decorated with balloons, presents, and clouds that look like Sonic. Yeah, that checks out. And Sonic is able to wear this admittedly silly costume. I don't wear it often, but again, it is very nice to have. But this part of the update also gave us a new mix of a bunch of past Sonic music, all of which weren't in the jukebox mode. This mix actually has some really good choices in it. I'm really happy it's included. Not only that, but all the island music is included in this update, which is also very nice to have. That was basically it for Sonic's birthday, but the rest, oh man, this is amazing. Open Zone Challenge ended up being called the Action Chain Challenge, which has you trying to get as many points as possible, and you can achieve this by doing literally fucking anything in the island. On most islands, the best method is to go for the smaller type of enemies and just wailing on them. But on Chaos Island, because the platforming is mostly in 2D and it takes longer to complete, it's actually perfect for this challenge. It actually makes this island a lot more enjoyable, which is something that I didn't think was possible. Overall, this mode is great, but that's not all. If you S-rank every single one of these Action Chain challenges, you unlock the Spin Dash. The Spin Dash single-handedly made traversing the world 50 times more fun. In a way, it works like the boost, but unlike the boost, it isn't stuck to the ground, and this allows you to fly. I swear, the amount of crazy tricks you can pull off thanks to the Spin Dash are montage video worthy. For example, if you Spin Dash into the air, then hold boost and let go of Spin Dash, Sonic gets a massive horizontal dash and does this awesome animation, and you still have a jump to pull off and an air boost. That is just one of the many tricks you can pull off with the Spin Dash. Making your own fun with this move is so damn rewarding. I highly recommend getting the Spin Dash. It makes the islands that much more fun to run through. Not only that, but they added the ability to have your boost carry into your jump, which solves my biggest issue with the control from the original game. That one change has made the game so much better for me. The new Coco challenges as well are absolutely wonderful. Not only are these Coco given new accessories, this one's my favorite, but the challenges themselves work so well with this game. Brand new platforming sections are put in the open world, typically on the edges of islands, and they extend far out. But unlike basically all of the platforming in the open zone, this feels a lot more player dependent, as there isn't nearly as much automation. And these challenges get really in-depth and creative, utilizing ideas that weren't maximized in the original game, or brand new ideas that are exclusive to these platforming sections. And again, you are rewarded for completing this, as you can go to this Coco and he will upgrade how long your boost lasts for. This isn't a super necessary upgrade, since I'd say the regular boosts last perfectly long enough, but having this option to increase your boost by this much is very nice to have. That really is the consensus so far. These are all just very nice additions to have to the game. I wouldn't say absolutely necessary, but they do make your experience so much better. And I think that's the best case scenario for a DLC. They reward you for doing these new things every single time, which is an absolute win in my book. And speaking of absolute wins, we now head into the largest update this game has gotten, Update 3, which is set to include multiple playable characters, a new endgame, and new challenges. Let's get into it. Okay, so right off the bat, I need to say this. Personally, I play Sonic Frontiers decently often. I bring my Nintendo Switch to college, and I play it whenever I have a small break between classes. I'm pretty damn experienced in the game, and I know how to play it. With that being said, I adored the difficulty in this update to a certain point. Let's start with the playable characters. Amy honestly feels perfect. This goes for all characters, but their ground control is the same as Sonic's, and they all feel great for it. Amy essentially has a triple jump, one where she doesn't go into a ball, one where she does, and then her tarot card burst, which leads into a glide that slowly descends down. Amy is amazing for platforming. These jumps lead into some amazing feats you can pull off. You can also unlock her Stomp Bounce move, which sends her miles into the sky, which also comes with a really good animation. She also has a move where she uses her cards as a motorcycle, which, like, that is so creative. I love that. Other than that, her attack move is also cards, Her other attack move is where she spins with her cards. Why doesn't she use her hammer? Okay, so one of her moves uses her hammer. One of them. And it's a kind of slow animation, but it is a very useful move since it is her quick Psyloop. I am pretty baffled that it's only one move that uses her hammer though, because it's such a core part of her character. Like, how could they not get her to spin with her hammer? Massive missed opportunity, but I'm okay with it since all her moves and abilities are extremely fun to play with. Her platforming challenges are actually really in-depth and have a lot of things going on in them, at least compared to the base game. They all complement her moveset, especially in verticality. Now we move on to Knuckles. People despise how he controls in this game. His awful slow startup to his glide and the glide itself being the main reason. While yes, I agree that the startup is awful and the gliding can be fixed up a bit, I still really like playing as him. Because if you look at the platforming he has to go through, it is very clear which ones require him to use his glide, and they typically extend out long and account for the fact that he does have a startup, with turning not being super strict. And say for example, if you do want to travel horizontally with Knuckles, you still have a great air boost that helps with this challenge in particular a lot. However, I do wish it was better even still, since I kind of wanted to be able to glide around the island freely, which you can do when you get the infinite glide move, which doesn't descend, but it still has the lame startup. Honestly, if they just get rid of that startup, I'd be happy. Other than that, he's got a basic punch combo with a quick Psyloop and a really cool drill move. But then we get his stomp, and why does this have startup? Seriously, just let him zoom down. Doesn't the startup on both his glide and stomp take more work to implement? So yes, Knuckles does have a lot of problems, probably the most out of all the characters, but I do still really like playing as him. His climbing actually feels really good, and his music is my favorite of the three. And his platforming really feels like it's made for his glide, and it's something that doesn't really work as well with Amy or Tails. Speaking of Tails, Tails is fun. I really liked what I played with Tails. But just like Knuckles, there are some problems. Again, why is there startup on his flying and stomp? It takes more work to do that, Sonic Team. Why would you willingly put this in? At least with Tails' flying, while he's winding up, he does still kind of move forward, whereas Knuckles just straight up stops on a dime. But honestly, Tails' flying is just really fun to mess with, and you can explore so much of the island with it, and you can really just zoom around. However, I don't even think it matters. His Cyclone from SA2 is back, and this is amazing. It's basically an even faster and more free-roaming flying method, since you can go as high or low as you possibly want. Technically, Knuckles can do this too, but whatever. I absolutely love this plane. It allows her even more freedom in the game, and I mean, just look at it. It's awesome. Only problem is, again, startup animation. At least with this, it shows the plane being created, so it kind of makes sense. No, dude, just let me immediately use these moves. Come on. Onto his attacks, he throws wrenches. Just an infinite amount of them. This right here, this is the culprit for all the waste pollution in our ocean. This is a fine move to have, and the platforming does a good job accounting for it, but he doesn't have a homing attack, which is a decision I'm actually okay with. Tails is already pretty overpowered, so giving him this one setback, but instead with a separate attack, I think is something that I'm going to be okay with. Still takes some getting used to, but I am down for it. He's also got this charged wrench attack that says you can bounce on it, and yeah, that's true. It stops all your momentum, and it hardly bounces you upwards, so like, what's the point? His quick Psyloop uses his Psy Blaster and shoots a little bullet that extends once you hit the ground. It's a fine move to have, but you have to manually aim it, which can be tricky, and his Stomp. Stupid startup, but I think it does its job well enough, so it's fine. If I had to say my favorite, definitely Amy, and then Tails, and then Knuckles. I don't dislike playing as any of them though. They were all really fun, and I'm very glad we got the chance to play as them at all. And with how much depth and mechanics they got, which references past games and stories, is something that I really appreciate. They all also get their own spin dash, which is a very good addition to have since they don't get a power boost like Sonic does, and this is their main way of going fast, and it just feels great. But when speaking of their combat, the game feels at odds with itself. The enemies in this update are insane and are very hard to beat now, so you'd think they make these characters suitable for these bosses with a lot of attack variety. After all, Sonic has 12 different attacks. How many moves do these three have? Amy has 3, Knuckles has 4, and Tails has 5. And their moves aren't nearly as well suited for the battles as Sonic's is. And that comes down to the fact, almost all of their moves require you to be right up the enemy's ass. And if you aren't, then you will never hit them. Sonic had projectile moves and slow motion moves that gave you time to assess what to do next, and they were just easier to use. And for example, Sonic's Stomp will shoot him into the air and then slowly back down. It gives you time to see what you're gonna do next. None of the other characters' stomps even automatically connect like Sonic's does, and it makes it much harder to use that attack. The characters are still fun to fight with, but I think out of everything, I'd want more variety in their combat. I'd say it's almost impossible to defeat any enemies with them. Other than that, I'd say I do still like playing as them, but they still have so much lacking. Also, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the Guardians this time around, I think are pretty bad. Like, I appreciate the difficulty, but they just shoot out a billion projectiles, which you can barely see coming, and their health bars take way longer to go down than any other boss in the game. And even then, cyberspace isn't even required, so I don't need these gears for anything. I'm just gonna run past these every time. Ghost was really cool though. This one in particular, that was awesome. I love that it's like Pac-Man. That is really creative. So each of the characters have to go through their own platforming sections to get Chaos Emeralds. And once you finish that, you switch to Sonic, who has to climb towers once again like on Rhea, except this time there's 5 of them and they are much more difficult. Rhea might as well be a warm-up now, and even that wasn't easy. This can get pretty brutal, and I absolutely loved these towers. This is the kind of challenge that the game desperately needed, since all the other platforming in this game takes like 5 seconds and is extremely automated and boring. Here, there's almost no automation. It's very dependent on your skill and understanding of Sonic's control. The difficulty isn't just the lame type where stuff is just coming out of nowhere and hitting you. You have more than enough time to assess what's happening and make your decision based on that. With that being said, I personally found these as amazing challenges that were extremely fun, and I only fell maybe 3 times on all 5 of the towers. But I think that has something to do with me being very experienced with Sonic's control. Not everybody is as experienced as I am with this game, and so a lot of people have been struggling with these towers. I'd say for a good balance, they should put a checkpoint system of sorts on these towers. I'm not sure how exactly they do it, but it would be nice just to make it a bit easier for others. Well, actually, I would be saying that if they didn't already have an easier method in easy mode. Genuinely, guys, if you're struggling with these towers, change the difficulty to better suit you. They changed the level design to be more forgiving in those difficulties. In my opinion, that is a great way to handle difficulty modes, since there's actual differences for different players who may struggle with a certain section. So yeah, I absolutely loved the towers and gladly revisit them for the challenge they have. There's so many fun tricks to pull off, and timing them just right feels really nice. Also, if you do mess up and fall, just hold the parry and look around for the nearest thing to move to and just dive towards it. That will save you. But anyways, when you get to the top of these towers, you have to do a challenge with the pilots of the Titans that you murdered. It starts out simple with the smaller enemies, but then progressively gets more intense. Kind of. I see a lot of people struggling with the snake trial, but if you just side loop it, homing attack, and then stomp over and over, you'll be done with it no problem. These really aren't too bad. Pretty basic small challenges that don't last more than a minute, but once you get to the final challenge on the 5th tower is where shit really hits the fan. This fucking asshole shithead cocksucking son of a bitch bastard makes me develop a kidney stone. He wants you to refight the previous 3 Titans. Simple enough. I love fighting them in Battle Rush, no sweat. But you have to do it at all level 1 stats, which again, I do that anyways. But you have to do it under the 400-second ring timer, and your parry is no longer infinite, but practically frame perfect. At first, this doesn't sound too bad. But once you start fighting these Titans, especially Wyvern, you will realize how awfully their attacks are telegraphed. I spent 6 hours here. I could not get through Wyvern quick enough to get to the desk chair with enough rings. Wyvern is really the only one that is just the worst by far, because you need to parry him to even attack him at all. And both the missiles and his slashes are so damn hard to know when it's going to hit, since they change in speed so often. Not only that, but every time you fail, you have to redo his stupid running section that lasts almost 2 minutes and is so mind-numbing, and you have to pay attention during it, since you can get hit or die here, losing your rings in the process, and you're really gonna want your rings. After so many hours of trying, I decided that I just wasn't good enough to time this right, so I switched the game to normal mode, which gives you just slightly more time to parry attacks. And once I did this, the fights became way more fun, and I was actually enjoying myself again. It felt more like if I messed up, it was my fault, not like in a hard mode where I have no idea what I did wrong. Even on normal mode, I barely finished in time. This was a brutal difficulty spike that I was not expecting. I don't even want to know what extreme mode is like. So, my thoughts on that 5th tower challenge. A good idea for a challenge, but it has a parry far too strict for the time limit. Changing the difficulty to normal is the best way to maintain the fun factor and challenge, at least for me. If it is still too difficult, there is no shame in changing it to easy mode, because this is a brutal challenge. But anyways, enough of the towers. Moving on, cyberspace is something that I didn't even know was accessible in the update, since they never require you to go in. But wow, I tried a couple of these and these are insane. The level designs allow for way more freedom. There's new boost modes, number rings, hidden goals, landmines, flickies to save, new music. Okay, I am not ready to fully speak on these cyberspace levels, since there is so much depth that I haven't fully experienced yet. I'll be playing through the rest of them soon enough, but from what I've played, I absolutely adore them. I don't understand it, but I will. But speaking of the music, my god, they went crazy here. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy all have new themes, and they sound pretty damn good. I don't know if I'd say they fit the characters, but they do fit the vibe of the game and the urgency a whole lot more. Sonic's theme, though, oh my god! It's so damn beautiful and majestic. Definitely one of the best songs in the game. Oh wait, it looks like Cyberspace got a bunch of new remixes. What does this one sound like? The other music worth of note is the final boss songs, of which there are 2. Alright, massive spoiler alert, you've been warned. Sonic gathers the Chaos Emeralds from his friends and rushes off to fight Supreme. The same as before, no difference. In my opinion, this is a waste of time, but once you beat him though, then things get interesting. The End appears in the sky and takes control of Supreme, and turns him into... Oh my god! This design is so much better! They made Supreme an incredibly creepy, broken, almost animalistic monster, which makes him so much scarier and threatening. Even his sound effects are disturbingly gross. It really adds to the fight, which I love. But anyways, after you try attacking him for a bit, these energy balls will shoot out at you, and you aren't able to parry them, they will hit you. I'm guessing this is done to awaken the cyber energy, but anyways, you get hit 3 or 4 times, and then a cutscene plays where Sonic turns into Super Duper Sonic. Oh man, what kind of new, stronger powers does he have? What do you mean power up? That just makes it harder, that's a limitation! Anyway, same thing about the difficulty mode applies here. Make this more fun for yourself and just put the game to normal, I promise you'll like this more. But yes, now Super Duper Sonic is attacking the End, and the music really kicks in, with an orchestral version of I'm Here, which sounds amazing. But soon enough, you'll notice that the End is regenerating its health, and you can stop this from happening if you either press L or R, which puts Super Duper Sonic right on the cord connecting the End to Supreme, which you can then destroy, making the health bar stop regenerating. The game really should have told you about the L or R thing, because that is confusing as hell. Only the desk chair does this, but anyway. This has all been pretty simple so far, but this is where the boss just gets confusing. You can get the End's health all the way back down, but then it'll just get back up after like 10 seconds and reconnect itself. This was a big problem for me since my ring count wasn't leveled up at all, so I would always run out of rings and wondering why the End wasn't staying dead. And even if you quick Psyloop its head, it does this awesome tornado move around it, and if you do it again, it pushes the tornado down on it and blood gushes everywhere and its bones snap. Like, dude, this is awesome! But even after all that, the End keeps reconnecting and fighting, and I just kept on running out of rings. It wasn't until I was messing around in the arena where I realized you're supposed to attack this little hole in the middle of its back and quick Psyloop it to shoot out its gun, which you are then supposed to quick Psyloop as well. Before anything else, I just gotta say, there was nothing telegraphing you to do this. Like, why would I attack here? They could have shown in the beginning, like, Supreme putting his gun inside of the hole, but there's no indication that the gun is even in there. Also, while we're speaking of the boss's jank, the fact his head is always on ground level makes it really difficult to homing attack him sometimes, since you need to wait for Sonic to lower himself. Small thing, yes, but still. Maybe that was done to encourage the player to go straight for the middle of his back, which isn't on the ground, but it's still confusing regardless. But yes, you quick Psyloop the gun and it starts to rise out of the ground. Oh my god, I have a gun? Wait, what? What? Callan Quinn! Wait, what? Oh, that's Kellen. That's fucking Kellen. Yes, Callan Quinn is back, and he's singing I'm Here, and it sounds amazing. My #1 dream for these updates was to have him come back just one more time, and the fact I actually got that genuinely got me to tears. The best part to me is that we get both sides of Sonic Final Boss Traditions back. We get the main theme with vocals playing, and an orchestral version playing, and a brand new version all in one boss. That is something very special, and it makes I'm Here even more iconic and meaningful, at least to me. But now, you're able to freely attack the End and try and get his health all the way down, which is a strange design for this boss because I Psylooped something that didn't change anything at all in the actual gameplay, but whatever. Eventually, the camera does this strange angle on the End, and the game wants you to press L or R again to move Sonic up to the top of the End where its arms are having seizures. You then parry it, and it leads to this boss's Grand Slam. Whoa. Oh my god! Oh my... However, at one point during the second phase, a cutscene will play where the End shoots out a massive energy ball at you. This cutscene just confuses me. Because if you have more than 100 rings, the game lets you live and you get your emeralds back. But if you have less than 100, like I did because I have lower stats, you just die. And the game doesn't tell you what you've done wrong, so you've just got to trial and error this part. And it's like, why even include this? It's like a minute-long cutscene, and yeah, it looks cool, but it's not like something actually happened. It really just happens for no reason. But then, you get the end's health bar all the way down to 0, and Sonic just beats the shit out of it and knocks it all the way up to the moon. And then, wait. Are we going in the gun? Wait, are we the- dude, shoot me out. Cyber Sonic! Fucking hell yeah, dude. Oh my god. After successfully defeating the end, Sonic crash lands back to Kronos Island. How did you guys get here? And they celebrate their victory. And Sage gets to live and go home with Eggman. And what follows is a vocal version of I'm With You, and it sounds wonderful. Sonic Frontiers is now finished. Originally, I finished this game thinking that it was a damn good time. A perfect 7 out of 10 game. Now that the ending has basically been fixed and it has a lot more depth, well, I don't know if I could say this is an 8 since the game still has so many fundamental issues. Even still, like you can't swap characters unless you climb to this tower again. That's dumb. But this game just gives me so much to love about it. Frontiers is not a perfect game. I used to say it was a good game. Now I think I'd say it's a great game. A game that has a lot of flaws and various poor design choices that weren't fixed over almost a year of updates. But it's still a game that was made with love and care and tried to do so much with how little they had. And for all of that, it is a miracle this game is as fun as it is. The ambition and passion behind this game is unlike anything I've ever seen. They truly tried to not only make Sonic cool again, but listen to as much fan feedback as possible throughout the course of the updates. And all I can say now is thank you for this game. It's been an amazing 3 years of keeping up with its news, all the highs and lows, the discussions and debates, and for giving me a ton of stuff to talk about here on YouTube and find some footing on this platform. Thank you, Sonic Team, Kishimoto, and everyone involved with this game. I'm so proud of how far you've come. With that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.